Great. So we say that a life table displays the expected survival from some integer age to future integer ages. When I present a table, you appreciate what I'm trying to say. But it's a table that is made up of a list of ages, okay? And then the probabilities of survival or of death attached to those ages. So usually to create, it's very difficult to create a life table. It's not a simple thing. So in Ghana, we don't have a life table of our own. Usually we use that of South Africa. We used to use that of UK, but I think we now use that of South Africa because it takes a lot of dedication and study over a long period of time, which we haven't yet been able to achieve. But it's good to have a life table for your own country because it represents the people and the lifestyle of your people. Okay. All right. So we will take a particular age X. Okay, I want you to ignore the X naught. Just let's use X. So we'll take a particular who is age X, and we'll take a number of lives LX, L subscript X. Okay. So usually with designing a life table, you need to identify a group of people, about 100, let's say 100,000 people. You select them. Then you begin to follow them over a number of years to study their lifestyle, study the probability of their death, the probability of their survival, and then use it to create a life table that is representative of that will become a model that you will use as a representative of your country or whatever group you are trying to study. So for example, if Ghana wants to create their life table, if actuaries in Ghana wants to create a life table, what they'll do is they'll consider about 100,000 Ghanaians at a particular time, maybe in the year 2003, in the month of January, they will take about 100,000 Ghanaians who are true representatives of Ghanaians. So they'll take a bit of politicians, a bit of professionals, a bit of children, a bit of, I don't know, they'll use some criteria to select these 100,000 people. Then they begin to follow them, all right? They begin to follow them over a period of time, maybe over 20 years, over 50 years, and then they study the probabilities of their life, of their survival and of their death, and then they create probabilities out of them. Then now that table becomes a model that we use so that if we look at that table and we look at somebody who's age 20, we will go back to that table and then we'll see that somebody's age 20 has probability of death of 0.5, probability of survival of 0.7, and then we use that to determine the probability of someone today who is age 20, who was not part of that entire group. But we are using that group as a model. So we use it to make some predictions or determine some things about people today who find themselves in those ages. Great. So we'll use LX here to represent that group of people you took, the actuaries will take to study over the period of time. And X here represents just any age at all. All right. So the number of lives from this group which survive at least T years. Okay. So if it starts from age X, say age 10, what is the probability that they survive 10 more years? That's TPX. T is equal to 10, X equal to 10. X means you're looking at age 10, and T is the extra years that they'll survive. Okay. So X and T are known to be integers. Enough of all this. Let's go into the table itself. So we'll get to understand all of these things as we move on, okay? I don't want to do that too much of that for now. Great. Okay. Let me try and draw a live table for you to have a look at it. Even though there's one here. So look at this live table. We have a live table. We call this as a mortality live table that has a radix of 100,000. This means that the live table was designed starting with 100,000 people. Okay, so X here represents the ages. Then this QX represents the probability of death or the mortality rate. LX here represents the number of people who are alive at the particular age X. DX here represents the number of people who die, the number of people who are currently age X who die in the next 1 year, and then PX here represents the number of people who are currently age X and die in the next 1 year. Whiteboard. I hope you have your notes and your pens to write. It's important. Don't just watch. This is math. You can't be watching math. Okay. So but I'm recording. So you can also fall on that if you receive the recording. All right. So as I said, for a Lie table, you have X here. We have X. Why? What's happening? Please spare me a moment. I'm not getting to get it. Great. So we have this table. X here represents the ages. So the table can be made up of a number of variables, which we choose to include in the table. Okay. Then this column could stand for LX. And then we'll have BX. PX, QX. Great. There can be more variables in this table, but this is what I'm using for now. Now take notes. These are all actuarial symbols, actuarial notations. Okay. So X here represents ages of people, some ages. So we can say for age 0, age 1, age 2, age 3. LX here represents number of people who are alive at particular age X. So if we are using this particular group of people, then at age 0, we can have, say, 1,000 people who are alive. Then by age 1, how many people will we have here? What do you think? Please stop trying to write on my
2,000.
No. No. So we are studying a group of people. They are all age 0. At age 0, there are 1,000 of them. So by the following year, when they are now age 1, some may have died. Once dx here is, or qx here is not 0. So let me take dx to be, let me write dx as, dx to be 20. Okay. Great. I'm sorry, I'm not doing it proper. I'm just improvising. Once dx here is saying that how many people died within the next year, how many people currently age 0 died within the next year. I'm supposed to write 1 here, but usually in actuarial notations, when it's px1, we ignore the 1. So this is the same as px. Okay. When we have qx1, you ignore the 1 and just write qx. So same for the dx1, you just write dx. But if it's any number apart from 1, like 2, 3, 4, then you maintain it. So we have 2px, we can have 3qx, What these mean is, this is number of people currently age X who survive one more year. This represents those who are currently age X who die within the next 1 year. Then here is for people who are currently age X who survive 2 more years. Okay, that's what a PX represents. Number of people currently age X who survive 2 more years here. So if you have, for example, CPX, it means the number of people currently age X who survive 3 more years. Okay. Then your T kill, no, it's not well written. T kill X represents the number of people currently age X who die within the next T years. So you can say, for example, if we have I need to know, please, can I be heard clearly?
Yes, please.
Great. My internet went off and everything is gone, so we'll have to just keep going. Right. Okay. So I was explaining the meaning of the actuarial notations. CPX, CQX, LX, DX. Okay. So you can write it down. If I try to write it, it'll be too much for me because the writing pad I'm using, it's quite tedious using it. So I'm saying that CPX here is an actuarial notation which represents the probability that a person age X will survive T more years. It's a probability. So it's the probability that a person age X will survive T more years. QX here represents the probability that a person age X will die within the next T years. The probability that a person age X will die within the next T years. LX here is not a probability, it's just a number. So this is the number of people who are currently alive at age X. The number of people currently alive at age X. DX here is also not a probability, it's just a number. So this is the number of people currently age X who will die in the next 1 year. The number of people currently age X who will die in the next 1 year. I said when it's 1, you don't bring it, okay? You leave it. Okay. So under if you are looking at a case of survival models, this is equivalent to SXC, okay? And this is FXC. When you are trying to compare the survival models. God. All right. Now how do you write this, represent this in the form of light tables? I'm writing these now, all of these to explain now, so that when we go back to the notes, you get what I'm trying to do. So in light table form, this is equal to LX plus T all over LX. Okay. Now what is this? This is LX here is number of people currently age X. Number of people are alive at age X. And then LX plus T is the number of people who are currently alive at age X plus T. So if, for example, X is equal to 5 and then T is equal to 2, then we are saying that 2px is equal to S 2p5. 2p5 is equal to S 5 2, which is equal to L7 over L5. Okay, what does this mean? Now, this probability is not well written. Let me write it well. Great. Now, this probability here is saying what is the probability, or it represents the probability that a person age 5 will survive 2 more years. How would you know that? If the person age 5 survived 2 more years, by then the person will now be 7 years old. So we are looking at the number of people who are currently alive at age 7 out of those who were alive at age 5. I want to ask you, L7 and L5, which one will be bigger?
L7.
Any other opinion? You all agree L7? Okay, well, it's not L7, it's L5. L5 will be bigger. So you are the L there. What did we say is representing? If you were right, as I'm talking, defining these variables, it's my hope that you write them down so that when I ask a question, you can refer to the definition you've given to it and be able to answer. Lx here is number of people who are alive at age X. Think about it. If you take a group of people and they are all 5 years old, and then you look at the next 2 years, they are now 7 years old. At age 5, those who are alive compared to those who are alive at age 7, which one will be more?
Madam, age 5.
Age 5, yes, because if they are 5 years old and then at age 5 they are 200 people. By the next 2 years, some may have died. So L5 is more likely to be bigger than L7. Does it make sense? Usually, how many people keep aging?
Yes, madam.
Some of them fall off, some people will pass.
Yes, madam, it makes sense.
It makes sense. Great. So L5 is like it's bigger than L7, okay? So this is looking at number of people who are alive at age 7 out of all who are alive at age 5. So if age 5 they were 200, then by age 7 maybe they are 170 now. So you're going to get like 170 out of 200, and that will give the probability that a person age 5 will survive 2 more years. Take note, these life tables are designed with a particular group of people, and then we create probabilities out of the outcome of their lives, and then we use it to make predictions on people who are currently living. Does it make sense? So we can have a life table where some people who have lived in some time past and they are probably all dead and gone. We create a table with probabilities with their life, and then that probabilities are now used to apply to our lives, those of us who are alive now. That's the only way they're able to, when you go to an insurance company, they're able to determine how much premium you should pay, because we all don't know when you will die. We all don't know how long you will live. We just use probabilities based on the life outcome of people who have previously lived. It's the best that actuaries are able to do. All right. This year I said it's also not a probability, it's a number. And it presents the number of people who are currently age X who will die in the next 1 year. Okay. Let's come to TQX. So take note of how it is written. The T and the X are all subscripts. It's not T times P, no. It is T subscript P and then X. So they are all under the P, they are all subscripts, but the T is in front of the P, the X is after the P, but they are all subscripts. So it's not T times QX, no. I hope it's clear. Okay. So this is how you write it, T, okay, and sub is, then we have P, then X. So the T and the X are all under the P. They are not multiplying. There is a notation. It's a notation. Just as you have a notation like lambda, okay, it's a notation. All right. Now TQS represents the number of people who are currently age X who will die within the next C years. All right. Those who are currently age X will die within the next T years. So if you take X again, X to be 5 and T to be 2, we are asking, what is the probability that a person who is currently age 5 will die in the next 2 years? That is by 7 years old, the person would have died. So in life table formula, you present this as 1 minus Lx plus T all over Lx. Why 1 minus this? You might look at if you see this Lx plus T over Lx is your TPX. Okay. And under probabilities, TPX plus TQX is equal to 1. Because for any person who is currently age X, you either survive or die by time T. So if you're currently age X and then by time T you are alive, it means you didn't die. So if you sum these two probabilities, you are definitely going to die or survive. That's how come the sum of their probabilities is equal to 1. Okay. That's how you're able to say that TQX is equal to 1 minus TPX. 1 minus TPX. And TPX is Lx plus T all over Lx. So please take notes. Okay. Let's go back to the slides or our notes. Okay. So what I've explained is here, TQX is here. Okay. Now there's this, we call this deferred mortality probability. We'll skip it for now. Maybe if you come to BTech, if you come and do top up, then we can look at this one. Let's move on to the DX. So DX here represents the number of people who are currently age X. It's not probability, it is number. Expected number of deaths within 1 year. Okay. So now who are currently age X who will die within the next 1 year. It is an estimation. Okay. So it means, how do you write this out in light table form? It's Lx minus Lx plus 1. And it makes sense. So Lx is number of who are currently who are alive at age X. And then Lx plus 1 is the number of who are alive at age X plus 1. So if you take, let's go back to our whiteboard. So we are saying that dx is equal to